It's time for Dodger Baseball. Live from Dodger Stadium, KCAL 9 presents the Dodgers as they take on the Washington Nationals. Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant Tuesday evening to you, wherever you may be. Game 2 with the Nationals, and the Dodgers have learned one thing. If Washington scores first, they are very tough. They are 16-2 if they score first. If they score 3 runs or more, they're 18-2, and they've won 12 straight, including their victory last night when they piled up 6 runs. On the mound, Dan Herron will start for Washington, and for Herron, this is where it all began. He started his major league career with his first big league victory, pitching for St. Louis and against the Dodgers at Dodger Stadium. On the mound for the Dodgers, under the heading of My How Time Flies, Clayton Kershaw. The first out that he records tonight will give him exactly 1,000 career innings. And one other headline tonight, and that is the answer to the question, where and when will Zach Greinke pitch? The Dodgers announced tonight he'll be on the mound tomorrow night right here at Dodger Stadium. We'll be back with the ball game and a whole lot more, including a couple of bright spots with the Dodgers. As we await the start of Game 2 of the 3-game series with the Washington Nationals. As you know, things have been tough for the Dodgers. At one time, an 8-game losing streak. They are 7.5 games behind the Giants. Nevertheless, 2 men have certainly emerged and have tried to carry the ball club on their shoulders. First of all, it would be the veteran Adrian Gonzalez. He was 2 for 4 yesterday. He has a 10-game hitting streak, hitting .382 during the streak. And the other would be Matt Kemp. First off to a slow start, but not now. He has a 12-game hitting streak and batting .320. It's also Matt Kemp bobblehead night tonight. So here we are at Dodger Stadium, moments away from the start of the game with the Nationals. California Toyota dealers. We make it easy. By the Jim Beam Bourbon Burger with bacon, onion straws, and pepper jack cheese, all slathered in Jim Beam bourbon sauce, only at Carl's Jr. And by your Southern California Chevy dealers. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Dodger Stadium and a lovely evening this Tuesday night as the Dodgers and the Washington Nationals meet for the second time this year. Tomorrow night will conclude the series and the current homestand. Davey Johnson, who is the reigning manager of the year, who managed the Dodgers back in 1999 and 2000, has brought in a good ball club, shaken up a little bit, however, last night by Bryce Harper crashing into the right field wall. The only good thing about it, Harper, A, is okay, not ready to play, but he also had to have that long beard taken off, and he's a fine-looking young man. Let's take a look at the Nationals lineup. Danny Espinosa at second base. Steve Lombardozzi will be in left field. Ryan Zimmerman at third base. Ian Desmond, the shortstop. And Adam LaRoche at first base. Tyler Moore, big shoes to fill, playing for Bryce Harper in right field. Wilson Ramos, the catcher. Yuri Perez will be in center field. And Dan Herron on the mound. On the mound for the Dodgers, Clayton Kershaw with a record of 3-2. He beat Washington last year. He is 3-1 at Dodger Stadium, and he has always pitched well here in his career. He is 35-17 at Dodger Stadium, and you may remember starting in 2011 into 2012, he had a winning streak of 12 straight. What is amazing, we all agree how time flies. As soon as Clayton Kershaw gets an out, whoever that might be, it will then have given him 1,000 innings in his career. So Clayton's about ready to go to work. And it'll be Danny Espinosa, a switch hitter, who will check in right-handed. Espinosa played last night and went 0 for 5, struck out twice. Lost a base hit on a good running catch by Carl Crawford. So Danny, who's from Santa Ana, hitting just 181. He went to Long Beach State. In fact, he followed in the footsteps of Troy Tulowitzki as the shortstop. He looks at the first pitch for a strike, and we're underway. Espinosa, an even 6, 190. Just turned 26. Back with a fastball low, and the count 1 ball and 1 strike. Lovely evening. It's 68 degrees right now as the sun sets. The 1-1 pitch on the way. Big curveball in for a strike. Whoa, there's number 1. So 1-2 the count to Espinosa, who kind of backs out to think that pitch over. Clayton looks down the barrel, ready to get a sign. Doesn't like to noodle around on the rubber. And the 1-2 pitch on the way, fastball away, and that evens it up. 2 balls and 2 strikes. So Espinosa followed by Lombardozzi and then Ryan Zimmerman. Kershaw turns and then thinks better of it and backs off the rubber. Don't forget, the Nationals, if they score 3 runs or more, they are 18-2 this year. Kershaw ready, and it is swung on and missed, and wouldn't you know, that's it. That gives him 1,000 innings in his career, and it was capped by a strikeout. That certainly goes hand in hand. So Danny Espinosa strikes out, 1 away, and Steve Lombardozzi will be coming up. Interesting indeed under that heading of how time flies. It doesn't seem that long ago when Clayton Kershaw started. Now he's had 1,000 innings. And look at Matt Kemp in center. Doesn't seem like he's been playing that long. He has 1,000 hits. The pitch to Lombardozzi is off the plate. 1 ball and no strikes. Lombardozzi has 5 pinch hits, but he's in a starting role tonight. Swings, doesn't get it, and a 1 ball, 1 strike count. Lombardozzi is a chip off the old block, hitting .226, 4 runs batted in. His dad was a very good player as he takes low and inside.
His father, Steve, hit .412 in the 1987 World Series. Helped the Twins to beat the Cardinals. Tough act to follow for young Steve. He's from Fulton, Missouri. The next pitch swung on and fouled away. Lombardozzi is an even 6, a slender 170. He's 24 years old. He'll be 25 at the end of September, and he's been with the Nationals for a couple of years. Now coming up, Kershaw's 2-2 curveball lifted to shallow left. Going out to get it is Gordon and puts it away for the second out. 2 down. Let's take a look at the Dodgers with the leather. Gonzalez and Schumacher, Gordon and Punto, Crawford, Kemp, and Ethier in the outfield. A.J. Ellis handling Kershaw. And with 2 out, Ryan Zimmerman, the multi-talented third baseman. Zimmerman last night drove in 3 runs, was robbed of a hit by Skip Schumacher, and takes ball 1. 1-0 to Ryan. 2 Zimmermans on the club. They're not related. Ryan, born in Washington, D.C., lives in Virginia. The next one is very high, and it has to be high with him. He's 6'3" and about 230. So Kershaw with 2 quick outs and a 2-ball, no strike count. No score. We're just starting on Matt Kemp bobblehead night. Clayton ready, fastball on the outside corner for a strike. He hits 94 on the gun. Ryan Zimmerman's finest year, without a doubt, would be back in 2009. 33 home runs, 106 runs batted in. The next fastball is in for a strike. That year he was an all-star. He got his first Gold Glove, and he also received his first silver bat. So Ryan Zimmerman. He'll be 29 with Ian Desmond hitting back of him, and he promptly bangs it into right field. Ethier tries to backhand the sinker, and it gets away from him, and Zimmerman is in with a base hit to right field. So Andre on the dead run, trying desperately to backhand before it hit the grass, couldn't do it. Hard line drive to right. So a 2-out single will bring up Ian Desmond. Ian Desmond, the shortstop, last night had 1 hit in 4 at-bats plus a walk, hitting .295. He has some sock, half a dozen home runs. So Kershaw takes a look over at Zimmerman, now works the plate and gets it in for a strike, and the count 0-1. Ryan Zimmerman is 2 for 2 in stolen bases. Held on by Adrian. Desmond, right-hand batter, waiting Kershaw out of that big stretch. Now the left-hander comes back, and it's swung on and missed. 0-2 the count. So Clayton Kershaw struck out Espinosa, got Lombardozzi to pop up. Zimmerman singles to right, and he has Desmond on the ropes. No balls and 2 strikes. Desmond red hot of late, 7 for 14. Throw to first. Ryan just falls back on the bag. So Desmond backs out for the moment, collecting his thoughts, waiting for Zimmerman to get back up. Now Kershaw from that stretch. And the strike 2 pitch on the way, swung on, ground ball to the hole, right side. It's going to bounce its way through into right field, and down to second goes Ryan Zimmerman. So Desmond didn't hit it hard. You don't have to. It just made about 50 bounces on its way into right. So first and second, 2 out, and Adam LaRoche coming up. Adam LaRoche last night had 1 hit, 1 for 5. Made a rather remarkable defensive play on a ball that was absolutely scorched by Andre Ethier, and then to complicate matters, took a bad hop, and it looked like it was going to take LaRoche's head off. Instead, with those big league reflexes, Adams stayed with it and made the play. So the left-hand hitter fouls the first pitch back, and the count 0-1. Adam LaRoche, born in Orange County, lives in Kansas. Coming off a big year last year, he had 33 home runs last year, won his first Gold Glove and his first Silver Bat. His brother Andy, you may remember, signed with the Dodgers about 10 years ago. 0-1 the count. Kershaw trying to get out of a jam, and the next pitch low and away. 1 ball and 1 strike. Clayton deep in thought. LaRoche has a 10-game hitting streak. So Adam waiting. Zimmerman at second, Desmond at first with 2 out. The 1-1 pitch on the way is swung on and fouled back. 95-mile-an-hour fastball. For those watching on television, here's the play last night. The ball suddenly took a bad hop. Somehow Adams stayed with it. It knocked him down on his fanny, and he sat up and threw the first in time. Boy, that's talking about really hitting a ball hard and coming up empty. So 1-2 the count to Adam LaRoche. Out of a stretch goes Kershaw, and the 1-2 curveball is fouled off. LaRoche has been around, signed by the Braves the 29th round back in 2000. So he'll be 34 in November. His father pitched in the big leagues, Dave LaRoche. Adams signed by the Braves. He's played with the Braves, the Pirates, the Red Sox, and the Nationals. The 1-2 pitch on the way, and it's just off the corner. And the count 2-2. Looked a little bit like a cutter, a late break. Just jumped off the plate. So 2-2. The deuces are wild. 2 on, 2 out, 2 balls, 2 strikes. First inning just starting. Clayton, hands together, arms extended, now set. The 2-2 pitch is taken just off the plate. And I mean just. He's throwing 94 and 95. And Ted Barrett indicating they're just missing. Barrett's been umpiring for 17 years in the big leagues. Now the 3-2 pitch, the runner's ready to go. There they go, and the pitch is high, ball 4. Now that one wasn't close. The other's just off the corner. And now with 2 out, you have Ryan Zimmerman at third. You have Ian Desmond at second. You have Dave LaRoche at first. And you have Tyler Moore coming up. And remember that note that we told you. The Nationals are 16-2 if they score first. And they're certainly right on the edge of doing just that. Tyler Moore is filling in. He's a kid from Brandon, Mississippi, playing for Bryce Harper. Right-hand batter. Kershaw ready and delivers, and the fastball in for a strike, and the count 0-1. Tyler Moore, 26 years old, signed by the Nationals about 7 years ago. When he first came up, he was doing pretty well. Got a lot of fastballs, and he was handling them. Lately, however, he has struggled because they've adjusted now, and they've been throwing a lot of curves. Kershaw ready, 2 out, bases loaded, back with a fastball fouled away. And so Tyler Moore has no balls, 2 strikes. Moore hits home runs, but it fails in comparisons to his strikeouts. Even in the minors, 31 home runs, 139 strikeouts, 9 home runs, 111 strikeouts. So we'll see now if Clayton can put him away with 2 out and the bases loaded. Clayton ready, left-handed deal, just low with a fastball. 1-2 the count. A growl coming out of the Dodger dugout from Don Mattingly. And the fastball just below the knees. Ted Barrett kind of looks over his left shoulder. Don Mattingly muttering from the corner of the dugout. And the 1-2 pitch coming up. Kershaw's curveball got him swinging. So he kept throwing fastballs, and then he went to Uncle Charlie, and that's that. Strikes out 2, gives up 2 hits and a walk, and at the end of half an inning, Nationals nothing, Dodgers coming up. Out 2, but he got his way out of the jam. Dodger lineup goes this way. Carl Crawford leads off in left field. Matt Kemp in the number 2 slot. That's a surprise, but among other things, Don Mattingly said it just gives him a chance to separate a couple of left-handed batters, and also he figures Kemp will get some better pitches if Crawford is on base. Then you have Adrian Gonzalez at first. Andre Ethier hits clean up in right. A.J. Ellis, the catcher. Skip Schumacher at second. Nick Punto at third. Dee Gordon, the shortstop. And Clayton Kershaw, the pitcher. Well, hello, Dan Herron. He has faced the Dodgers more than any other team. He's a local boy. Dan from Monterey Park. Lives in West Covina and went to school at Pepperdine. He was the number 2 draft choice of the St. Louis Cardinals. And he's facing Carl Crawford. And the first pitch in for a strike, and the count 0-1. Crawford batting .321, couple of base hits last night. Carl takes down at his feet. 1 ball and 1 strike to Carl Crawford. Tomorrow night, Ross Detweiler on the mound for the Nationals, and the Dodgers announced just before game time it will be Zach Greinke. The 1-1 pitch on the way, pulled on the ground, foul ball, no play, and the count 1-2. Well, you have a moment because Ted Barrett is the plate umpire, and remember Don Mattingly was kind of letting him have it from the Dodger dugout. Credentials for Ted Barrett. He's the only umpire to work the plate for multiple perfect games. He was the plate umpire for David Cohns. He was the plate umpire for Matt Cain. Crawford, meanwhile, a fly ball to center, waiting for it. There's Perez to make the catch, and we have one away. So not only did Ted Barrett umpire 2 perfect games, he also had Irvin Santana's no-hitter. Well, that's quite an honor for a plate umpire. So we have one away in the first inning, and now here's Matt Kemp. It's his night, bobblehead night. He has hit safely in 12 straight. A home run, which was in New York eons ago, it seems. 15 runs batted in. Aaron into the windup, delivers, gets it in there for a strike, and the count 0-1. The bobblehead has been given out, and Matt now trying to enjoy his own bobblehead night with a good performance. Aaron comes back 0-1. That's a ground foul outside of first. 0-2 the count. looking it up, Matt Kemp is hitting .278 against Dan Herron, and that includes 3 home runs. In fact, he has 3 home runs. Adrian Gonzalez has 3. Andre Ethier has 2, all against Herron. Fastball is lifted up into the heavens, but that's about all. Coming in is Perez. Going out is Desmond. And Perez got it and then flipped the ball to Desmond. So Yuri Perez, it should have been a routine play. Why Desmond would go out that far, but maybe it's because Perez is a rookie and he kept hollering, I got it. And finally Desmond spun away and let the kid make the catch. 2 down in the first inning, and the batter now will be Adrian Gonzalez. Adrian hitting .350. He has a 10-game hitting streak, and as we said, has 3 home runs against Herron. Dan's first pitch missing, 1 ball and no strikes. Two down, bottom of the first inning, no score. Herron into the windup. Back he comes and misses away and high. Ball 2, 2-0. Dan signed with the Cardinals, and he first came up to the big leagues in '03, and that's when he pitched here and won his first major league game. Dan is 6'5", 220. His 2-0 pitch on the way to Adrian. That finds the mark, and the count 2-1. So Gonzalez 2 out, bases empty, trying to get something started. And on deck, Adrian Belcher. Herron's 2-1 pitch on the way. And it's swung on and pulled down the right field line in the corner. Foul. So Adrian will have to come back. 2-2 to count. Dan Herron tells a story of going back to visit family in New York in the winter. Being a pitcher, he didn't want to just sit around. So every day he'd grab his backpack, put on a hoodie, head out into the Queens chill, and he would stand at one end of a blacktop basketball court and long toss against a concrete wall of a public bathroom. Pitches high, ball 3. And one day he was really firing BBs, and all of a sudden the vagrant stormed out of the men's room and cursed him for waking him up. Dan said he felt awful. The sound inside must have been terrible. The next pitch pulled on the ground to the right side. Danny Espinosa is there, and that'll do it for the Dodgers in the first inning. So at the end of an inning, Nationals nothing and the Dodgers nothing. Second inning, no score in the ball game, the National and the Dodgers. The catcher, Wilson Ramos, will lead it off. He'll be followed by Yuri Perez, the center fielder, and then Dan Haren. Wilson Ramos from Valencia in Venezuela, and originally signed by the Twins, and he takes low and inside, ball one. When he was with Minnesota in 2010, in his major league debut, he went 4 for 5, and the next day went 3 for 4. The pitch to him, that's in for a strike, 1-1. So he became the first big leaguer to have 7 hits in his first 2 games. Are you ready? In 68 years. So Wilson waiting, and back comes Kershaw, and it's swung on and missed. 1-2 the count. So Clayton made 29 pitches in the first inning, struck out 2, but also gave up 2 hits and a walk, but got out of the jam. Now the 1-2 pitch on the way, and Ramos looks at strike 3 call. So third strikeout for Clayton Kershaw. 1 out in the second inning. Clayton came into the game with 16 walks, and he walked 1. He has 3 strikeouts, so he has 17 walks and 59 strikeouts. Yuri Perez making a start in center field, finished up in left field last night. Young player who shows bunt takes a strike, and the count 0-1. Yuri spells that first name E-U-R-Y. He's from the Dominican. He pushes a bunt up along first, but it goes foul before Adrian could get to it. So 0-2 the count to Yuri Perez. He's an even 6, 180. 23 years old at the end of the month. He was signed 6 years ago and came up to the Nationals and then back down to the minors each of the last 3 years. One thing you know when you look at his record, he runs very well. The strike 2 pitch on the way, swing and a miss, and down he goes. So now Kershaw has retired 3 in a row on strikeouts. He has 2 strikeouts here in the second inning. He has struck out 4, and the batter will be Dan Haren. Haren has always been a pretty good hitting pitcher. You don't take anything for granted with Dan. Hitting .214. This year he has 3 hits, takes a strike, and the count 0-1. When Haren went to Pepperdine, he went there to play every day, and there was a shortage of pitching, so he filled it. But he can swing the bat. 1 ball and 1 strike to Dan Haren. No score, top of the second inning. Kershaw into the windup. Back he comes. Fastball fouled away off to the right. 1-2. Giants played the Toronto Blue Jays today, and the Blue Jays beat the Giants 10-6. R.A. Dickey, the winning pitcher for the Blue Jays. 1-2 the count to Dan Haren. Fastball, see you later. He strikes out the side. It also gives him 4 consecutive strikeouts and 5 in the game. And at the end of an inning and a half, no score. Is brought to you by Chevrolet. Find new roads. By Sports Authority, the official sporting goods retailer of the Los Angeles Dodgers. And by Acura. Acura Advance. Bottom of the second inning. No score in the ball game. The Nationals and the Dodgers. Good crowd on hand. Matt Kemp bobblehead night. And Andre Ethier, A.J. Ellis, and Skip Schumacher coming up. Ethier hit .254, 1 for 4 last night, but he hit 2 other balls right on the button that went for outs. So Ethier checking in. Dan Herron ready to go to work. And the veteran right-hander, very deliberate, deals the first pitch in for a strike. Dan Herron and Andre Ethier. Ethier is hitting .426 against him with 2 home runs, 20 base hits. Now the next one to Andre drops in there for a strike. 0-2 the count. Ethier, Ellis, and Schumacher. Second inning, no score. Dan Herron ready in the strike 2 pitch, chased and grounded to the right side. Had to chase a curveball almost in the dirt. So Ethier grounds out, and we have 1 out in the second inning. That'll bring up A.J. Ellis. A couple of things about Dan Herron as far as his pitching is concerned. He's gotten a lot of run support, averaging 5.5 runs. He does not walk hitters. There have been no stolen bases nor stolen base attempts against Dan Herron this year. So that's kind of interesting. And now Ellis at the plate. A.J. takes a strike and the count 0-1. It was A.J. Ellis last night with the wind blowing out to right field that had that wind-blown fly ball, and Bryce Harper crashed into the scoreboard face first. A.J. swings, doesn't get it, and the count 0-2. In fact, Davey Johnson was talking and quoting Harper before the game, saying he's sore all over, and he is also feeling nauseous. So it's questionable that Harper will play tomorrow. We just don't know. Here's the strike 2 pitch coming up. Herron delivers, down and away, and the count 1-2. 1 out in the inning, which brings up the point. Herron has been hit particularly hard this year with 2 outs. The next pitch in the dirt. As far as his pitching is concerned, he doesn't pitch very long. He's averaging about 5.5 innings. He's allowing home runs. He's given up 8, 6 on the road. Now the 2-2 pitch on the way. A.J. chases a bad ball and down he goes. So strikeout number 1 for Dan Herron. And that'll bring up Skip Schumacher. You know, experience the magic at Dodger Stadium Tuesday, May 28th. The Dodgers and the Angels. And the first 40,000 fans in attendance receive a Magic Johnson-themed T-shirt. Compliments at State Farm. For tickets, visit Dodgers.com/promotions. Schumacher, left-hand batter, takes off the plate. Ball 1. 1-0 the count. Skip last night 0 for 4, hitting .179. Dan Herron comes back over the top, misses away, and the count goes 2-0. Herron goes into his windup, and like almost every Asian pitcher we've ever seen, he hesitates. He kind of collects himself before delivering. Schumacher bangs it into left field for a base hit. Over to get it is Lombardozzi, and holding on with the long single is Skip Schumacher. So a 2-out single to left, and the batter will be Nick Punto. So Schumacher got a ball up and went away with it. Shading the line was Lombardozzi, so he had to race back towards left center. So it's a long single, and Nick Punto checking in. One of the things that has plagued Dan Herron this year, and he comes into the game 4-3, the bottom of the lineup. Punto takes a strike. The bottom of the lineup from 7 through 9 collectively, they're hitting .333 against him. 0-1 the count to Nick Punto. Punto takes low and inside. Dick doing a wonderful job wherever they play him. And let's face it, he's been somewhat of a surprising hitter. I don't think people realize he'd hit close to 340, but that's what he's doing right now. 1 ball and 1 strike. Back comes Herron, gets it in for a strike. So 1-2 the count to Nick Punto. It is very important for Dan Herron to pitch ahead in the count, because when the hitter is ahead, they're hitting better than 450 against him. The 1-2 pitch, foul back to the screen. The bat sailing out of Punto's hands, goes into the crowd, and he'll have to go get another bat. 2 outs, 2nd inning, no score. Dan Herron and Clayton Kershaw. What's interesting, Punto letting that fly. Switch hitter has 2 gloves on. Please be alert to bats and balls entering the seating area. It's the broken bat that's really scary. We've seen a couple of those this year. The broken bat that goes into the stands. This one just got away. All right, Punto back up. 1-2 to Nick. Throw over to first. Schumacher back on the ball. As far as Dan Herron is concerned, good 4-seam fastball. He has a cutter, which left-handers certainly would see. He has a dominating splitter, and then he throws slider, spike curve, and a changeup. So he's got a lot of pitches. Punto fouls it off, and it's still 1-2. 2 years ago, Herron's strikeout to walk ratio was almost 6-1. His high in victories, he's won 16 twice, 15 a couple of times. The next pitch, ground ball by the diving Espinosa into right field for the base hit. Down to second goes Punto. So here's Herron now, kind of struggling with the bottom of the lineup, and that's the way it's been going for him. So he gets Ethier, then he gets Ellis, but then Schumacher singles to left, Punto singles to right, and D. Gordon, the number 8 hitter, checking in. He got the first 2 outs, and that follows another thing about Herron. He's been hit hard with 2 outs all year. The batting average with 2 outs against him, better than .345. Dan delivers, misses inside, ball 1. 1-0. So he's certainly making the figures stand up, as Gordon, who had 1 hit last night and a stolen base at the plate. Herron ready, right-hander comes back, and it's foul to the screen. 1 ball and 1 strike. Nationals loaded the bases in the first inning, but Kershaw struck out Tyler Moore, and then for good measure, Clayton struck out the side in the 2nd inning. Though he has 5 strikeouts in 2 innings. Meanwhile, the Dodgers trying to get him a run. The pitch to Gordon is taken for a strike. 1-2 the count. Dan bends at the waist, getting a sign, now straightens up. His 1-2 pitch coming up is swung on, lifted into right field, very playable. Tyler Moore is there waiting and squeezes it for the out. So the Dodgers get 2 base hits, lead 2. We have 2 innings in the books, and the Nationals nothing, the Dodgers nothing. Top of the third, no score in the ball game. Say, friends, spend your summer at the ballpark with the Dodgers 10-game summer plan. Great matchups with the Giants, Red Sox, Cubs, and Yankees. For more information about the Dodger 10-game summer plan, visit Dodgers.com/mini-plans or call 323-DODGERS today. Clayton Kershaw in the first inning struggled and made 29 pitches. Came right back to strike out the side on 11 pitches. And the left-hander ready, and his first pitch to Espinosa is swung on and fouled away. So Danny signed back in 2008 by the Nationals. Went to school at Long Beach State. He's from Santa Ana. Now the strike one pitch on the way. Breaking ball foul back. 0-2. We haven't seen him do it. I know last year Davey Johnson was hoping that Espinosa would bunt more. No sign that he has. He struck out in the first inning. Kershaw ready. Back he comes. Down he goes swinging. So Espinosa again gets a big overhand curveball. For Espinosa, he pays the price. He strikes out a bit. He's now struck out 30 times. 6 strikeouts and 5 in a row by Clayton Kershaw. Now here's Steve Lombardozzi. He popped up to shortstop in the first inning. Clayton looks down the barrel to get a sign. Now he's ready. And the pitch to the lanky left fielder in for a strike, and the count 0-1. Kershaw's high in strikeouts against Milwaukee the end of April. He struck out 12. The strike one pitch is fouled away off first base. Over is Adrian Gonzalez, but it's back into the Washington nest. No balls and 2 strikes. So A.J. Ellis came from behind the plate. Kershaw left the mound. Adrian Gonzalez chasing it from first base. And they now go back. No balls and 2 strikes to Steve Lombardozzi. Lombardozzi has done well coming off the bench. He's had 5 pinch hits. Overall batting average hitting .222. Kershaw looks down. A.J. Ellis shuffling his cards behind the plate. And the strike 2 pitch on the way. There's that breaking ball. Swung on and missed. 7 strikeouts for Clayton Kershaw and 6 consecutive strikeouts. He got Moore to end the first. He got Ramos, Perez, and Herron in the second. He's got Espinosa and Lombardozzi in the third. So here is Ryan Zimmerman, who lined a single to right field in the first inning. Kershaw ready. Left-handed deals. Fastball in for a strike. 0-1. Let's check Kershaw going up against Zimmerman. Ryan 5 for 10. So he's hitting .500 against Kershaw. No balls and 1 strike to the big right-hand hitting third baseman. And Ryan, tired of waiting, backs out. Now Kershaw ready. This one fastball in the dirt. And the count 1 ball and 1 strike. Zimmerman back up and waiting. No score. Top of the third. The 1-1 pitch on the way. Curveball hit down the right field line. This one slicing foul and back into the crowd. So 1-2 the count to Ryan Zimmerman. Kershaw, 2 strikeouts in the first inning, all 3 in the second, and 2 more here in the third. Clayton ready. The 1-2 pitch to Zimmerman is high. So Kershaw has 6 consecutive strikeouts and 7 in 2 2/3 innings. Clayton ready. Zimmerman waiting. Now Clayton backs off the rubber. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. Kershaw ready, and here he comes, 2-2, and it's whacked into left field for a base hit. So he might have good stuff, but Ryan Zimmerman loves him. Is hitting over 500 against him now, and he is 2 for 2. So Zimmerman at first, that breaks the spell. 6 strikeouts in a row. Ian Desmond singled to right field in the first inning. So the right-hand hitting shortstop checking in. Ryan Zimmerman over at first base is 2 for 2 in stolen bases. Desmond waiting. Kershaw goes to his stretch, just stares at Zimmerman, who has a short lead, and the fastball in for a strike. 0-1. Kershaw walked 1, walked LaRoche in the first inning. No balls and 1 strike. Zimmerman takes his lead. Kershaw watches, back with a fastball inside. Throwing at 94, and the count 1 ball, 1 strike. When you see Kershaw strike out 6 in a row, did you think of Aaron Harang, who struck out 9 Padres in a row last year? 1-1 the count. No runs, 3 hits for Washington. No runs, 2 hits for the Dodgers. We're in the third. The 1-1 pitch on the way down at the feet of Desmond. 2 balls and 1 strike. Ian deep in thought, trying to figure. Fastball, breaking ball. 2-1 to the right-hand hitting shortstop, who has a half a dozen home runs. Kershaw ready, stares at Zimmerman. The left-hander delivers. It swung on and fouled off, and the count 2-2. So Desmond, the fine shortstop with some power. Washington has 33 home runs. So they have that much stock. The Dodgers have 26. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Zimmerman at first. Kershaw ready. The 2-2 pitch in the dirt, smothered by Ellis. Holding on at first is Ryan Zimmerman. So 3-2 the count with 2 down. Zimmerman checking with Tony Carrasco, the first base coach. Waiting on deck, Adam LaRoche. So big pitch. Zimmerman will be going. Kershaw looks at him. Gonzalez right on the bag. Now the pitch of the plate, swung on and fouled back. At the start of the game, the temperature was 68 degrees. Beautiful evening here in Southern California. The heat down a little bit from yesterday. And a nice crowd on hand for game 2 of the 3-game series. Kershaw ready again. So is Zimmerman. So is Desmond. And a throw to first. And hold everything. A balk is called on Clayton Kershaw. Alfonso Marquez called the balk. No argument. Clayton just came over and said okay to whatever Marquez said. Well, there was a lot of movement. He looked at home, but he didn't make a gesture to go home. He might have stopped twice. So with a runner now at second, 3-2 the count to Desmond. We'll see how important the balk is. Kershaw ready, and the pitch lifted to right field. Andre Ethier jogging in, settling underneath it, and makes the catch for the out. No runs, 1 hit, a man left. At the end of 2.5 innings, no score. case you care about such small matters, Kershaw's balk would be the 8th in his career. Of course, left-handers are the ones who are going to draw the balks because it's such a fine rule trying to hold that runner on at first. But he got away with it. And now bottom of the third, he backs away, takes a strike, and the count 0-1. Clayton in his 3 innings has made 58 pitches. The strike 1 pitch on the way is swung on and missed, and the count 0-2. Look at Clayton. He's suddenly going to, as if he wants to call for time, but he took too much time. I mean, if you're going to do it, do it. But he kind of delayed, looked around, and it was too late. 1-2 the count to Clayton Kershaw. Aaron ready. Veteran right-hander back low and inside with a splitter that hits him on the foot. And Clayton goes to first, hit by the pitch. So the Dodgers get a break as the leadoff man gets nailed on the left foot. Kershaw to first, like the splitter got him, and then it came up and rammed Ramos right in the mask. So here's Kyle Crawford, fly to center in the first inning. No score, bottom of the third. Dan Harron's pitch swung on, fouled away. 0-1 the count. For the Dodgers, it is the same old song, at least so far. This is game 2 of the 3-game series. With runners in scoring position, the Dodgers are 1 for 12. Strike 1 pitch to Crawford, and that's banged in the air to right center and deep. On the dead run is Perez, and he will make the catch on the track. And getting back to first base is Clayton Kershaw. So Crawford hits it deep to right center. Yuri Perez makes the catch, and the batter will be Matt Kemp. Dan Harron has given up some fly balls tonight. That was a pretty long one, and it makes you look it up, and sure enough, the answer. Harron has given up 8 home runs. So here's Matt Kemp, and he takes in the dirt. Nice block by Wilson Ramos. Kershaw holding it first. No runs, 3 hits for the Nationals. No runs, 2 hits for the Dodgers. Matt Kemp fly to center in the first inning. Harron a peek over at Kershaw, back to the plate, check swing for a strike, and the count 1 ball 1 strike. Waiting on deck, Adrian Gonzalez. One and one to Matt Kemp. Here comes Harron. That's swung on. Line drive, base hit into left field. Down to second goes Kershaw, holding there. But Matt Kemp is now hit safely in 13 straight. Another line drive single. So the hit batter following the long fly ball and then the line drive single. And that'll bring up another streak hitter, Adrian Gonzalez, who has hit safely in 10 straight. Adrian 0 for 1. Came into the game with 3 home runs and a .289 batting average against Dan Harron. 2 on, 1 out. Adrian takes an off-speed pitch in for a strike, and the count 0-1. Harron, once upon a time, his first full year, he was pretty much of a ground ball pitcher. The next one low and inside, 1-1. But as the years go along, the ground balls are starting to become fly balls. You go back to his first year, about 60% of the outs were ground balls. Now it's getting close to 45%. 1-1 to count to Adrian Gonzalez. Dan Harron delivers, and it's pulled foul outside of first, down into the photographer's well. 1-2 the count. Standing, planting that right foot on the first base side of the rubber. You have Kershaw at second, Matt Kemp at first. 1 out. The 1-2 pitch to Gonzalez taken low. 2-2, and on deck, Andre Ethier. Totals are identical. No runs, 3 hits, and no errors. Aaron at the belt. The veteran right-hander delivers, and it's in the dirt. Squirts away from Ramos, and the runners move up. So live by the splitter. Well, you have a lot of troubles with it as well. So Aaron has one in the dirt, get away after hitting Kershaw on the foot. Tied up Ramos. It'll be a wild pitch. So second and third, 1 out, no score. Three and 2 the count. Dodgers have the right guy up there with runners in scoring position. 3-2 pitch is swung on and missed. Gonzalez looked like he was trying to uppercut a pitch that was up and came up empty. Up he tried. The reason we said the right guy, Adrian Gonzalez, going to bat, was hitting .467 with runners in scoring position. So they had the right guy, but the wrong result. And now, here's Andre Ethier. Ethier grounded out in the second inning, 0 for 1. Aaron ready, delivers, a little high, ball 1. On deck, A.J. Ellis. Andre hitting .252 with 3 home runs, 11 runs batted in. Aaron trying to get out of a jam here. The 1-0 pitch swung on, fouled away. So it's a pretty tough assignment. Second and third, and 1 out. And he had Gonzalez and Ethier back to back. And he strikes out Gonzalez, and now has a 1-1 count to Andre Ethier. So it's been a long inning for Kershaw. He's standing at third, and Matt Kemp at second. Andre with 11 runs batted in. Aaron reading Ramos. Now Dan straightens up. 1-1 pitch on the way. Shot right up the middle into center field. That's going to mean 2 runs. The throw by Perez not nearly in time. So the Dodgers lead 2-0 on a single by Andre Ethier. So kind of dangerous stuff, pitching to left-hand batters with first base open. But Aaron figured he could do the job, got away with it with Gonzalez, and then he gets nailed by Andre Ethier. So the Dodgers lead 2-0. Ethier, by the way, was hitting .426 going into the game against Aaron. Now you have the right-hand hitter, the catcher A.J. Ellis. A.J. Ellis hitting .167. So that's a dramatic move by Davey Johnson trying to get away with it. A.J. takes away 1-1. Going after 2 top left-hand batters with first base open, and then a right-hand hitting catcher who has had trouble with his pitcher. But the decision was made, and the Dodgers lead 2-0. 1-1 pitch on the way. A little low, ball 2. 2-1 the count. Of course, when you talk about Davey Johnson, he's one of the brighter men you'll ever know. He received a degree in mathematics from Trinity University in Texas. He studied statistics and probability. Very smart. Ellis fouls it back. Among other things, Davey became qualified as a computer system analyst. He earned his real estate broker's license. Didn't have much to do made some wise real estate investments. He's designed a golf course. He's a licensed pilot, a scratch golfer. I mean, Davey Johnson is something. He also taught classes in scuba diving and snow skiing. And the balk now will be called against Dan Herron. So Ethier goes down to second. So the Dodgers get several breaks in the inning. Herron looks in to get a sign and then tried to back off the rubber. Now makes his pitch, and it's hit right at Espinosa, and that's the end of the inning. So you had a wild pitch, a hit batter, a balk. They pitched to two left-hand hitters with first base open, and the second one, Andre Ethier singles to right. And so at the end of 3, it's the Dodgers 2 and the Nationals nothing. Clayton Kershaw opened up the inning by being hit by a pitch. It was a wild pitch, a balk, and then a 2-out single to right, and the Dodgers picked up 2. For Herron, he made 23 pitches. That gives him 57 for his 3 innings of work. Clayton Kershaw has made 58 for his 3. Adam LaRoche with a 10-game hitting streak, then Tyler Moore and Wilson Ramos. LaRoche walked in the first inning. And ball 1. We'll check Kershaw and LaRoche. LaRoche has a home run against him, but hitting .230. 1-1. So the Dodgers get a base hit with a couple of runners in scoring position, and they lead 2-0. Tomorrow night, Zach Greinke is going to be on the mound at Dodger Stadium, going up against the Nationals. Drive to center, Kemp right there. So 1 away in the 4th inning, and the batter Tyler Moore, who certainly had a chance to be a hero. He's filling in for the injured Bryce Harper. Harper last night on a wind-blown fly ball never stopped running. It was as if the wall wasn't there, and Tyler just suddenly ran out of territory. He's okay. They took, I think, 11 stitches under his chin. They also shaved off the beard, so he also lost about 10 years. He looks like what he is now. He's 20. Check swing. 0-2 the count to Tyler Moore. Moore hitting .154. What do the Washington Nationals miss when they don't have Harper? He's hitting .303, 6 doubles, a triple, 10 home runs, 21 runs batted in. That's all. And a drive to center. Kemp has to go back, but he's there. There is Bryce Harper. All that long. I wish we had a picture from last night to compare it to tonight. The stitches are directly underneath the chin. Thank goodness he's a little wobbly, but he's okay. Young Bryce lives in Las Vegas. Foul back. Ramos struck out in the second inning. If you joined us late, Kershaw went on a strikeout tear. He struck out 6 in a row. He had 7 strikeouts in the first 3 innings. 0-1 the count. That big, slow rainbow curve for a strike. There he is. That's the way he was before he ran into the scoreboard. And then you look at him now. That's when he was walking off. You can see the blood around the neck. 0-2. And now there he is. The boyish right fielder minus the beard. No balls, 2 strikes to Wilson Ramos. And down he goes, striking out for the second time. That's 8 strikeouts for Clayton. And we have 3.5 innings in the books, and the Dodgers lead 2-0. Baseball on KCAL 9 is brought to you by Honda. Visit your Honda dealer for great deals. Only a Honda is a Honda. By Time Warner Cable. Enjoy all the things you love better. Call Time Warner Cable 1-855-WANT-TWC. And by 76. We're on the driver's side. Bottom of the 4th inning with the Dodgers leading 2-0. Clayton Kershaw has struck out 8, and that falls right in line with one of the scouting reports about Washington. They strike out too much. Well, he's nailed 8. Skip Schumacher will start it off, and that's a strike. 0-1. And the next one lifted to right center. Perez flying over from center field. So 1 away. The batter will be Nick Punto. Punto single to right in the second inning. Fastball in there, 0-1. Monterey Park, West Covina, Pepperdine. Dan Herron. 0-2 the count. Punto going after the splitter. One out, bottom of the fourth. 2-0 Dodgers. Lifted back of shortstop into left field. Coming up for it is Lombardozzi. And we have 2 down here in the fourth inning. And the batter will be D. Gordon. Say, bring the family out to Dodger Stadium for Memorial Day, Monday, May the 27th. The Dodgers and Angels. First 15,000 ticketed kids 14 and under in attendance receive a Clayton Kershaw themed Dodgers Fathead. Compliments of Northrop Grumman. Finish off your holiday weekend at Dodger Stadium. So visit us on Dodgers.com/promotion. Gordon flied to right in the second inning. Shows bunt. Takes a strike. 0-1. When the Nationals come up in the fifth inning, they will have Yuri Perez, the center fielder, then Dan Herron, and then Danny Espinosa. 0-2 the count. Gordon hitting .257. One and two. Fastball just missed. And hit down the right field line, foul, and out of play. One and two to D. Gordon. Fastball missed. 2-2 the count. Interesting numbers about Dan Herron as he goes through the lineup. The batting average increases. Pull foul. For instance, his first time through the lineup, the batting average is about .246. Second time, .345. And the third time, .400. So for the Dodgers, they are slowly finishing up their second time around. And a little pop fly, Desmond. So the Dodgers go quietly. And at the end of 4, it's still 2-0 Dodgers. Has 8 strikeouts in his 4 innings. He has a hellacious curveball, and then the fastball every now and then. But Public enemy number one. There's a fastball. And there's his curve. And yet another one. Well, he dominated for the first 3 innings, where he struck out 7, picked up 1 more in the 4th, and now ready to go to work in the 5th. Good-natured, happy crowd. It sounds and feels more like a Friday night. It's a Tuesday evening. Big crowd enjoying it all. Tough ball game. 2-0 Dodgers in the 5th. The corners are up. Yuri Perez fleet-footed. So Punto and Gonzalez come up, and it's ball 1. Yuri Perez. Little crack bat ground ball. D. Gordon on that thing. Nice play by D. 1 away.
Pitcher number 15, and Aaron.
He knew he didn't have a lot of time because Perez runs very well, so he wasn't even in the picture. So 1 down. Dan Herron struck out in the 2nd inning. Fastball strike. Fouled away. So Dan's in a hole. No balls, 2 strikes. Dan will be 33 in September. Oh, slow curveball. Aaron way out in front of it. 9 strikeouts for Clayton Kershaw. Look at this thing. Up there and then down there. So Danny Espinosa has struck out twice. The fellows who have not struck out would be Ryan Zimmerman, Ian Desmond, and Adam LaRoche. Strike. 0-1. Two nothing Dodgers, 5th inning, 2 out, bases empty. And the fastball. So he's just shredding the strike zone. He walked LaRoche in the 1st inning, but otherwise he's been right on the ball. Curveball. Wow, what a demonstration. 10 strikeouts now for Clayton in 5 innings. So of the 15 outs, he's nailed 10, and the Dodgers lead 2-0.
brought to you by your Southern California Lexus dealer, who invites you to test drive a luxurious Lexus today. For more information, visit Lexus.com. By Skechers Go Run 2 footwear, designed for speed. And by Morongo Casino Resort and Spa. Good time.
Bottom of the fifth inning, 2-0 in favor of the Dodgers. Clayton Kershaw up there, and ball one. Clayton made only 8 pitches in the fifth inning, and he has 10 strikeouts. Foul that right back into catcher Wilson Ramos on the left shoulder. 1 ball and 1 strike to count. Coach Ted Barrett obliges. Eats up a little time to let the catcher recover. Two runs, 4 hits for the Dodgers, no runs, 3 hits for the Nationals. And a fly ball slicing down the line. Lombardozzi is there. So Kershaw, who was hit by a pitch and scored a run, this time can rest a little. And the batter will be Carl Crawford. Carl Crawford has hit 2 fly balls, one deeper than the other. The last one was caught by Yuri Perez on the track in deep center. Crawford hitting .316. Ball one. When the Nationals come up in the top of the 6th inning, they'll have Lombardozzi, Ryan Zimmerman, who is 2 for 2, and then Ian Desmond. The 3 hits for the Nationals: Zimmerman 2 singles and Desmond 1 single, and that's it. Left side of the infield. Two balls and no strikes in there. Waiting on deck, Matt Kemp. Big chopper to Adam LaRoche. The Gold Glove will do it himself. Looked like he wasn't quite sure whether he was going to give it to his pitcher or not. And at the last second had a shift into gear. So take a look. Now he's looking. Transfers the ball, but there's no man to feed it. I think, if I have to guess, I think Herron did something to his back. I thought when Adam LaRoche came over after the play, I thought Herron says something about his back. See, he's in pain as he is going over the cover, and that's why he wasn't there. Apparently it was something that just grabbed him because he has a few words to Davey Johnson and they leave, and he's ready to pitch. So Matt Kemp hitting in the unusual number 2 slot to separate the left-handers Crawford and Gonzalez. He's 1 for 2. Check swing. They're going to look. That'll cost a strike. 0-1. And Matt's a little unhappy about that. No balls and 1 strike. Matt's bobblehead night a success indeed. A little roller up the middle. Desmond, nice pick. So the Dodgers go in order, and at the end of 5 it remains 2-0 Dodgers.
Olson, who once said, "You ain't seen nothing yet." Well, on this date, 45 years ago, 1968, Don Drysdale went up against the Chicago Cubs. He beat them in a very tough game, 1-0. He allowed only 2 hits, 2 singles. He struck out 7, and that was the beginning of his 58 consecutive scoreless innings. Following the game against the Cubs, he had 5 more shutouts, and of course, as I'm sure you know, Orel Hershiser broke that in 1988. Let's go back to this one.
That's a strike to open up matters in the 6th. Steve Lombardozzi popped up and struck out. Ryan Zimmerman 2 for 2 with singles on deck. 0-2. Career high of 13. Clayton has 10. Just did get a little of that to stay alive at the plate. Aaron is pitching very well, except for that somewhat freakish 3rd inning where he hit Kershaw on the foot. There was a wild pitch, there was a balk, and eventually the Dodgers picked up the only 2 runs in the game. 1-2 to Steve Lombardozzi, hitting .219. Did he hold up? Yes, he did. 2-2. Ted Barrett, the plate umpire. Alfonso Marquez at first. Chris Conroy at second. Mike DeMuro at third. Two balls and 2 strikes. How do you strike out 10 in 5 innings? You go 0-2. Ground ball backhanded by Adrian Gonzalez, and we have 1 away. Clayton has faced 20 batters prior to Lombardozzi, and he was 0-2 to 10 of the 20. So the chances are you get him 0-2. Statistically, the pitcher is really in control. So 1 out. And now here is Ryan Zimmerman. Line drive single to right, line drive single to left. Ball 1. Ryan Zimmerman 1 year hit 33 home runs. That was back in 09. Since then his high has been 25. Fastball hit up the middle. Diving try by Schumacher, but for Ryan Zimmerman, he is 3 for 3. So last night he drove in 3 runs, and tonight he has 3 singles. Schumacher trying to knock it down, couldn't quite do it. Ian Desmond single to right, fly to right. Desmond hitting .297. When Kershaw struck out the 13 here at Dodger Stadium, it was against the Giants. A little roller, charging, throwing on the run to get him. Good play by Nick Quinto. Anyway, when Clayton struck out 13, it was April the 15th, 2009. Dodgers won that game 5-4, and Kershaw went 7 innings. So this is the 20th time that he has struck out at least 10 in a start, and he has 10 and 2 out in the 6th inning. Adam LaRoche, a 10-game hitting streak, but he's walked, fly to center, 0 for 1. Adam is a Gold Glove first baseman. He owns a big ranch, and the name of the ranch, even the brand on the cattle, E3, which in baseball means error first. So Adam with a sense of humor and a big ranch. Oh, and 1. Two to nothing in favor of the Dodgers. We're in the 6th. 0-2 to Adam. That ranch E3 that Adam LaRoche owns, it's at least 1,400 acres, at least. And number 11. No runs, 1 hit, 1 left. Kershaw has struck out 11. Once again, hitter bites the dust on the curve, and it's 2-0 in favor of the Dodgers. And struck out 11. The one hitter who's given him a bad time, but not on the scoreboard, is Ryan Zimmerman, who is 3 for 3, all singles, but never came around to score. In fact, Zimmerman did get to third base in the first inning, the only National to get that far tonight. Adrian Gonzalez will start it off. Gonzalez made a big out with runners at second and third. They pitched to him, and Herron struck him out. That was a big moment. Then they had Ethier coming up with second and third, and A.J. Ellis on deck, and they opted to press their luck again and pitch to Ethier, and he probably singled to drive in the only 2 runs in the game. Popped up on the fists, foul ground. It will be Zimmerman. So 1 away here in the 6th inning. Here's the big moment in the game. First they opted to pitch to him, and Andre got a pitch up and a little away, and he was able to hit it up the middle. So that was the big decision. That was the big result. And then Ellis came up and lined out. 2 runs, 4 hits for the Dodgers. No runs, 4 hits for the Nationals. Dan Herron is due to bat 4th when the Nationals come up in the 7th. Oh, and 1. No balls, 1 strike. Line drive foul right into the far end of the National dugout. The other thing too about them pitching to Andre Ethier with first base open, he was hitting about 430 against Dan Herron. So that one move went against all good thoughts, and it hurt the Nationals. One and two to Andre. Another ground foul. Clayton Kershaw, 11 strikeouts, 1 walk, 4 hits, and he's made 88 pitches. Two and two. Sometimes when a pitcher is racking up a lot of strikeouts, he makes a lot of pitches. Another foul ball. With Kershaw, 10 of his 11 strikeouts, the National batter either saw 3 pitches or 4 pitches in going down on 3 strikes. So it's not as if he was going 3 and 2, 2 and 2, 3 and 0, and then building on it. He's just been throwing strikes. 2 balls, 2 strikes. So Andre is still there. Got him. So maybe that's what they were thinking about when they pitched to him early. But instead of the pitch which wound up down around his ankles, the base hit was on a pitch up and slightly away. I mean, that's a bad ball. He would normally never swing at that. So 2 out in the 6th inning for Dan Herron. In contrast to Kershaw, Dan has struck out 3. And here's A.J. Ellis. Fastball, but he missed. Ellis was hitting 167, so he's hitting less than that. So again, when you put the numbers up, you can understand anyone saying, why in the world did they pitch to Ethier? That's not the second guess. Just look at it this way. Runners at second and third, 2 out, no score. The batter Ethier is hitting .426 against your pitcher. He's left-handed. And the right-handed batter is hitting .160. Who do you pitch to? They opted to pitch to Ethier. The only thing is, I bet if we could, if we said to Davey Johnson, how in the world could you make that decision? Davey could give you chapter and verse as to why it made sense. Ground ball to Desmond. Well, that'll do it for the Dodgers. They're down in order, and you know, Herron is no slouch. That's 3, 6, 9, 10 in a row he's retired, but it's still 2-0 Dodgers.
Pack. Tonight's winning combination is 7, 19, 21. Enter now on kcal9.com/bonus combo. Sponsored by Jack in the Box.
Tough ball game, push against shove, with the Dodgers leading 2-0. For the Nationals coming up against Kershaw, it'll be Tyler Moore, Wilson Ramos, and Yuri Perez. Clayton Kershaw has made 88 pitches. He has struck out 11. He has walked 1. And ready to work now on Moore, who has struck out and flied to center. And that's popped up. Coming down the line is Punto. So 1 away in the 7th inning. Time to have a little trivia question sent your way. Bryce Harper hit 22 home runs last year as a teenager, second only to Tony Canigliaro, who hit 24 in 1964. How many home runs did Canigliaro hit in 1965 when he was 20 years old? Ramos has struck out twice. Kurt Suzuki, caught last night, went 1 for 5. Ground ball, D. Gordon. Two out in the 7th inning. Yuri Perez coming up, making a start in center field tonight. Perez has struck out and grounded out, spelling Denard Span, who played out there last night. Yuri from the Dominican. And a strike. He's an even 6, maybe 180. His father was a photographer, and his mom thought he was going to be a photographer as well. But he loved baseball, and he had a couple of uncles who played. And that's all he needed, to be pointed in the right direction. One and two. Kurt Suzuki, the aforementioned catcher, is out on deck to bat for Dan Herron. Zach Duke, the left-hander, begins to warm up in the National bullpen. Perez still there, 1 and 2. There is Duke with Jim Lett. Suzuki waiting on deck. Ground foul. One man who has certainly given Kershaw a bad time tonight, Ryan Zimmerman, 3 for 3, but all singles. Ryan Desmond has a hit, and that's it. A ground ball fouled. So Perez still up there, 1 and 2. Yuri Perez making his first start. He had 3 at-bats before he was dropped into the fire tonight. Started his swing. No, he didn't. So 2 balls and 2 strikes to Yuri Perez. 2 down, bases empty, 7th inning, 2-0 Dodgers. And ball 3. "100 pitches. That's foul to the plate. I guess the toughest inning that Clayton has had, the 3rd inning, where he made 18 pitches. In that inning, he struck out 2 of the 4 batters. And Perez just keeps fouling them off. This will be the 11th pitch, and it's softly hit right at Gordon. So the Nationals go 1-2-3, and at the end of 6.5 innings, it's still 2-0 Dodgers. See the new model year lineup at JaguarUSA.com. By the Jim Beam Bourbon Burger with bacon, onion straws, and pepper jack cheese, all slathered in Jim Beam Bourbon sauce. Only at Carl's Jr. And by your Southern California Hyundai dealers. Come in and test drive the sleek, stylish Hyundai Sonata today. Bottom of the 7th inning, it'll be Schumacher, Punto, and Gordon. And Dan Haren, no doubt pitching his last inning. He would have gone out for a pinch hitter in the 7th. Dan has pitched very, very well, except for that 1/3 inning. That's where he hit Kershaw on the foot, probably with a splitter. Later on, committed a wild pitch, and then later on, committed a balk. So it wasn't some great Dodger offense that got the 2. Perez will take care of that. So Schumacher goes 1 for 3 with a fly ball. And for Haren, right now he's really on a roll. 11 in a row retired since Ethier's single. That one big hit back in the 3rd inning. So here you are, you match them up. And of course Kershaw with the 11 strikeouts, that catches your eye. The 2-0. But Haren has pitched very, very well. And of course Kershaw's been brilliant. Foul back for Clayton Kershaw as he sits behind Andre Ethier. Right now he's the National League earned run average leader, tied with Matt Harvey, 1.44. Then you have Shelby Miller, 1.58. But Dan Haren pitching a terrific game with 1 out in the 7th inning. 1-2. In the 8th inning, the National will have Herron spot, then Espinosa and Lombardozzi. Got him. So Herron just can't be pitching too much better than this. 12 in a row he's retired, but he's losing 2-0. The paid attendance tonight, and it is a sellout, 51,729. 51,729. Matt Kemp bobblehead night. D. Gordon drag bunt. Herron down to get it. Guns it. And LaRoche holds on to it. Boy, did Dan Herron pull the trigger on that thing. And LaRoche, the Gold Glove, was able to stay with it. So a good finish for Herron. And at the end of 7, 2-0 Dodgers. Between Clayton Kershaw and Herron. Tomorrow, remember, 7 o'clock game tomorrow night, and Zach Greinke will be on the mound for the Dodgers against Ross Detweiler. Dodgers then leave town. They'll be in Braves territory Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Then they'll go to Milwaukee Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and they'll come back home on the 24th of May and open up a 3-game series with the Cardinals, followed by a brief 2-game series with the Angels. So Kershaw has made 102 pitches. He's leading 2-0. Denard Span, who started last night in center field. Span had 2 hits. He went 2 for 5. That's a strike. 1-1. So for Dan Herron, a brilliant effort. Retired 13 in a row as you see Kenley Jansen getting ready in the bullpen. But Herron 13 in a row. And outside of that kind of weird 3rd inning with a hit batter, a balk, a wild pitch, and the 2 runs, and the decision to pitch to Andre Ethier. Down in the bullpen for the Nationals, right-hander Ryan Matthews. All right, 2-0 Dodgers, 8th inning. Span, little fly ball, shallow left, coming up and going out is Gordon. So there's a question who was going to get there first, and it was Gordon. Not exactly an easy play when you have to go that far. So one away, and the batter Danny Espinosa. And for Espinosa, he might as well have phoned this one in. I'm sure he's a little discouraged. Not only 0 for 3, he struck out 3 times. Ball 1. Danny hitting 176. Make a mistake though, he has a little power. 3 home runs. Fastball in there. 1-1. Stayed up. Ball 2. Clayton now, his pitch count is up to 109. His most pitches in a game so far this year, 117. Most in his career, 125. Two balls, 2 strikes. 1 out, 8th inning, 2-0 Dodgers. Pull foul outside of third. .111 pitches now. Still 2-2. The only runs the Dodger 2 came back in the 3rd inning. We're now in the 8th with 1 out. Kershaw has struck out 11. Rolled it a short. Nice big hop by D. Gordon. So 2 out in the 8th. Steve Lombardozzi will be coming up. Remember the question? We started by talking about Bryce Harper hitting 22 as a teen. Tony Canigliaro hit 24. How many home runs did Canigliaro hit when he was 20 in 1965? 32. What a player. Lombardozzi has popped up, struck out, grounded out, 0 for 3. First ball swinging Kemp. So a ho-hum inning as far as Clayton Kershaw is concerned. 1, 2, 3 quickly. He's retired the last 8 in a row, and the Dodgers still lead 2-0. Is brought to you by Jack in the Box. and the Chipotle Chicken Club Combo. Try one today with fries and a drink for just $4.99 plus tax. And by SoCal Dodge Dealers and the Dodge Dart. Dodge, new rules. The Dodgers leading the Nationals 2-0. A brilliant effort thus far tonight from Clayton Kershaw. First of all, when he got the leadoff man Espinosa by striking him out, it gave him 1,000 innings in his career. Since then, he has struck out 11. He is not allowed a run. As a batter, he was hit on the foot by a pitch in the third inning and came around to score one of the 2 runs. He'll be facing a right-hander, Ryan Matthews, out of Elk Grove, California. Went to Sacramento Community College. High fly ball. That's Yuri Perez now in left field. Denard Span, remember, batted for Dan Herron, and he's in center. Ryan Matthews is a 30-year-old in November, 6'3", 215. He was originally signed by the Rockies and first came up to the big leagues with the Nationals. He was in the minor leagues for about 7 years. Ground ball hard, but right in front of it is Danny Espinosa. So quickly, 2 out, and Matt Kemp coming up. Denard Span, as we said, batted for Herron, stayed in the game in center. Yuri Perez moves over from his position in center to left. Lombardozzi comes out, and that's where you put Matthews if you're keeping score. And here's Matt Kemp. Matt Kemp flied to center, single to left, grounded to short. He has hit safely in 13 straight. Fastball, ball 1. To look ahead now for the 9th inning. Clayton Kershaw will face the one man he has not been able to stop, Ryan Zimmerman, who is 3 for 3. And then Ian Desmond, who is 1 for 3, and that's it. That's the 4 hits. Two and 0. Fastball, a hopper that staggers Desmond, but Ian stays with it to throw him out. Boy, was that thing hit hard. Ask him. But down go the Dodgers, 1, 2, 3, and so Clayton Kershaw ready to answer the bell and go to the 9th inning with the Dodgers leading 2-0. Has put on quite a performance tonight. He has struck out 11, and he brought everything he had to the dance. He walked only one, Adam LaRoche, and the one man who has stood in his way, Ryan Zimmerman, is going to lead it off. He is 3 for 3. One thing about the Washington Nationals, you wonder about them saving the starting pitcher. And the answer is they don't. They have saved the starting pitcher coming from behind one time. Juan Uribe is now at third. And here is Zimmerman. A strike. Ryan hitting .273, and he has certainly used the whole field. Single to right, single to left, single to center. Foul back. Kershaw, his last strikeout was LaRoche in the 6th inning. He retired 8 in a row. Backing him up in the bullpen, Kenley Jansen and Paco Rodriguez. One and two. You wonder about it. Clayton Kershaw has 6 career shutouts, and 3 of his 6 shutouts have been against the Giants. Slow curveball lifted to right. Ethier down in the corner, makes it back. You gotta know the territory, and Ethier knew where he was every step of the way. Well, they finally get Zimmerman one away. They're showing it a couple of times. Like the Music Man, you got to know the territory. One away. And now Ian Desmond. Single to right, fly to right, grounded to third. 1 for 3. Kershaw, once in his career, made 125 pitches, and he's getting close to that. The next pitch will be number 120. And he still has some gas in the petrol. That was 93. Well, the tank is still bubbling. One ball and one strike. Two and one. Boy, earlier in the game, that curveball was devastating. So now he's made 121 pitches, and you have Adam LaRoche on deck. And a high fly ball to left field right down the line. Crawford on the track. So 2 long fly balls, one caught by Ethier, one caught by Crawford, 1 out to go. Crowd 51,729, and they saw a pitching masterpiece up to here. 4 hits, 11 strikeouts, 1 walk, and no runs. Adam LaRoche walked, flied to center, struck out. Fouled away. LaRoche came in with a 10-game hitting streak. Tomorrow night, Zach Greinke will be here pitching against Washington. Kershaw, even this late in the game, fastball was 94. That dropped down to 82. So this will be his 125th pitch, tying his high in his career. 1 and 1. The crowd on its feet now. He started with a strikeout. They would love to see him ended with a strikeout. 1-2. Got him. Oh, did he get a piece of it? Yep. So LaRoche still up there. 1-2 the count. The Dodgers 2 runs, 4 hits. The Nationals no runs, 4 hits. The Dodger 2 runs came in the 3rd inning. And it began when Kershaw was hit on the foot by a pitch. 2-2. So now he's made 127 pitches. You know he's pushing himself. Yun Kim taking a look. And that's fouled away. Both outs were long fly balls to the corners. One by Zimmerman to right, one by Desmond to left. Two and two. And the fastball missed. Now that fastball was 93, and it was his 129th pitch. And he's pitching to a guy who hit 33 home runs last year. .130. One thing, a beautiful evening, 68 degrees. None of the heat and high humidity that would sap a pitcher's strength. And that was 94, and LaRoche still fouled it off. Waiting on deck, Tyler Moore. And that's hit to center for a base hit. So LaRoche has a wonderful at bat. 10 pitches and singles to center. That puts a little heat on Mattingly after those long fly balls and then the single. Now the hitter coming up, Tyler Moore, has not done much. Came into the game hitting 157, and it looks like Mattingly, after 132 pitches, will go to the pen. Naturally, the crowd wanted to see Kershaw finish it off. I think he's relieved now. He wanted to go, but he has to be exhausted. Standing ovation for Clayton Kershaw. 132 pitches, and he walks off leading 2-0. We'll be back. 132 pitches, a magnificent effort. By the way, if the game ends now with LaRoche at first base, Clayton's earned run average would be 1.40. And remember, he led the majors in earned run average in 2011 and 2012, and he would be leading again this year. The Kershaw will now be rooting for Kenley Jansen against Tyler Moore. Moore has struck out, fly to center, popped up 0 for 3. He has 1 home run, 8 runs batted in, hitting just 148. The runner goes to second. Defensive indifference, no stolen base. So LaRoche, who had a brilliant effort, a 10-pitch at bat to keep the game alive. 1 ball and no strikes. Check swing for a strike. Kershaw had 11 strikeouts through 6 innings, did not have a strikeout the next 3 innings. 1-1. 1-2. Jansen comes in, hits 92. So the young man out of Brandon, Mississippi, Tyler Moore, has his foot in the door. Went to school at Mississippi State. One ball, 2 strikes. That'll do it. It ends as it began, only with a different pitcher. Clayton struck out Espinosa to begin the game. Kenley Jansen comes in to strike out Tyler Moore to end the game. 12 Nationals bite the dust. Jansen made 4 pitches after Clayton Kershaw made 132. So the Dodgers knock off the Nationals tomorrow, the so-called rubber game, and just to add interest, Zach Greinke will be on the mound. Talk to you then. Until then, good night, everybody.